Batman's sidekick stands on his own. Here's your look at McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Robin Reborn Tim Drake Robin. Growing up in Gotham City can be complicated, especially when you're a kid as obsessed with Batman and Robin. After he deduced the identities of Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson, a self-made hero in every sense of the word, Tim took on the role of Robin after attempting to convince Dick Grayson to become Batman's sidekick again, following the death of Jason Todd. In Tim's mind, Batman needed a Robin to stay true to himself and his mission. Although Tim didn't intend on taking the mantle for himself, he was more than happy to do what was needed to be done. We'll spend more time with Wayne's ward in a moment. First, though, I'd like to thank the folks over at McFarlane Toys that did provide this sample of the DC Multiverse Robin Reborn Tim Drake Robin. Boy, that's a mouthful. We could have a look at this review. I'm going to grab now the tape measure as I always do and see how tall the figure stands. Now, this version of Robin is, though, quite tall. You'll see what I mean in a moment. Robin, though, Tim Drake Robin stands 6.5 inches in height, or the figure's 17 centimeters tall. Yeah, so what I was saying is, like, this Robin is pretty tall. If we were to, say, compare him with now the benchmark, the standard, the bar that gets now set with Batman figures, this just happens to be the Nightfall Batman after that long introduction, you can see that in this case, like, Robin not only seems bulkier than Batman, but he's also about the same height as well. Now, you may, for example, if you want to look to display this guy on your shelf, some may choose, for example, to display Robin along with the Nightfall Batman. Now, Nightfall Batman benefits from being slightly taller, and he's also a lot bigger and bulkier, too. He might work a little bit better with this particular Robin. Speaking of other Robins, obviously we've had quite a lot of Robins on this channel, looking at them. I'm going to bring in a couple of them right now. Here's what he looks like with the DC New Frontier Robin, if memory serves me correctly, if I can just get the figure here to stand. Now, obviously, scale-wise, if you're looking for more of a sidekick standing figure, then like New Frontier would be better because it's a little bit smaller. And even smaller to that is also the DC Gold Label Edition Robin, who obviously you can see is the shortest of the batch. This Robin does come included with a bow staff, comes also included with a batarang, but before we look at those, let's look at these. The figure comes included, first of all, with a trading card. The trading card in this case is actually, I think, Robin issue number 1, if memory serves me correctly. Now, again, I'm going really far back on my memory banks. I think I actually have like the first 10 issues of Robin, and even like Robin 2 as well. I remember this cover quite vividly, picking this up at my local comic book store, and I think even back then it was only $1.25. Robin Reborn is also, I think, a trade paperback collecting 2 real defining arcs for Tim Drake, one of which being Rite of Passage and Identity Crisis. But it also does contain, I think, as well, the mini-series Robin, which I believe this is the cover from. It's a really sombering, more depressing looking Robin on the front. Batman just doesn't even know what to do with this. He's like, boy, this sidekid's gotten out of control. Maybe I'll go back and maybe beg and plead for Dick Grayson to return. Flip around, though, to the back. His real name is Timothy Jackson Drake. And then there's also quite a substantial read-up. I've already read at the beginning of the review. You're welcome. I saved you guys the trouble. But it's a nice-looking card. I mean, again, I like the idea that they're using source material, not necessarily figure photography. And it seems like it's been quite a while since I have said they're using figure photography. So it seems to be the case that they realized also right away that everybody collecting trading cards aren't simply just an accessory that you throw in and then somebody's going to just like, you know, discard to the garbage. People that are collecting these would much more appreciate seeing something like this than simply just a picture of Tim Drake Robin. Move that to the side. The figure also comes included with a display stand, just a circular black stand. Nothing new to report. Nothing new to report. It's got the DC logo printed down below here and one standalone peg. Gonna keep that readily available, although I've already got like a stack of stands. You probably can't see it right now. No, you can't. I've actually got like quite a stack of stands. They don't stack well at all because, of course, they really should put like a hole on the bottom of it, but then they'd have to make the stands a little bit bigger. Anyways, I got a whole stack of them. Figure comes also included with a staff. Now, I will say about the staff as well, I do like the look of it being in silver. I do think it's fairly large. It doesn't look as or resemble as much a staff when he's holding it in his hand because, again, when you're putting it in his hand, for example, it does look like he's sort of holding like a barbershop pole. I went with barbershop and rather not another pole, but it's a very thick looking staff. I wish it was just a little bit thinner. The figure also comes included with a batarang. Now I'm certain we've gotten this batarang before, but again, going back into my memory banks, it's drawing a bit of a blank right now. The Batarang is just a very classic looking design Batarang, which is making me really feel like we have gotten this before. It's been molded all in black plastic. It does fit into his hand, although it doesn't fit really well. There is a slot, if I just dropped the staff, I'm going to have to retrieve that. There is a slot technically right in between his fingers. Now, I suppose there is a salvageable place that you can store the Batarang like right there, but it almost looks as if he's kind of like letting go an injured bird. Rather, instead, I guess, if you wanted to have it displayed like this, then the Batarang, you really want to make sure it's far enough down there, because it sits, I feel, a little on the looser side. I don't want to drop that on the floor like I just dropped the staff. I'm going to have to retrieve the staff just a little bit later. Getting a closer look at Tim Drake Robin. Overall, I do like the head sculpt on this one. I feel like his body is a little on the bigger side. Again, if we were just to go back and reference the original source material, now, of course, that we have that. Not only is that the case, but I also feel like the colors could probably have been a little bit darker than what we get right here. The colors, when I'm looking at this, for example, reminds me more so like the original Dick Grayson Robin, like the gold label edition, for example. I'm just going to bring back in right now. And even just to look at the color scheme on this Robin, I feel like it almost even handled the darker colors better than what we got here with the Robin Reborn Robin. The colors are good, but I feel like they're a shade maybe too light. That goes for the green, that goes for the red, and maybe not as much the yellow, because the yellow could always have popped on a darker red. But I feel like, if anything, like the tunic probably could have been a darker red than what we actually get here. Head sculpt is fine. I don't really have any real issues. Maybe it would have been nice if they could have added just a little bit of blue highlights to his hair, but on that, I think like the head sculpt is actually quite good. Skin's on a tad bit pale side. So one of the consistent things you'll probably be hearing in this review is like the colors are really good, but they're all sort of like 2 shades too high. If they have just turned the notch down just a little bit, darken the colors just a little bit on the skin tone, darken certainly the colors on the red and the green, and of course down below here also as well. He has, of course, the black cape and with the yellow interior, like the original run of comics, or the original Robin run. All the colors look really good. Just turn it down just a little bit. Articulation for the figure, the head sculpt is going to be on a ball joint, so yeah, of course it rotates all the way around. It hinges up to that high, and of course the Robin head sculpt can look down this low. You can also hinge the head back and forth as well. Arms rotate also all the way around. That's the same on both the sides. You can also hinge the arms out. Now, I thought initially all the additional texturing that they added to the shoulders would cause then conflict when it came to hinging the arms at 90 degrees. And I didn't think I was able to do that. Actually, you can. You can easily bring them out at 90 degrees. There is a bicep swivel actually very smartly hidden underneath the cuff of the sleeve. So it actually is cut right there. Figure has a double hinge on the elbow. The hands, of course, rotate also all the way around. The upper torso is on a ball joint. As well, the lower mid-abdomen area is also on a ball joint too. The legs, as always, do split. I did notice, like on the legs, on mine at least, the legs seem a little on the loose side, especially when it comes to splitting, but I'm not probably going to be doing that too often with my Robins anyways. Bring the legs forward, you can bring the legs back. There's a mild swivel at the top of the thigh. Figure possesses a double hinge on the knee, although ironically enough, it's loose here and not loose in the knees. I really would rather have tighter knees than tighter thighs. The hinge of the feet, by the way, hinges up and down, and of course it does rock back and forth, and the figure does also have toe articulation as well. Rather interesting also to point out the fact that the feet do have the little cut in between where the toes would sit. That's not necessarily indicating that he's got a really large big toe, but normally that would be a cut, I think, in between the toe and the rest of the little troopers that follow behind. All in all, it's a good-looking Robin. The only thing about it, though, is like proportionately, if he was to stand on his own, as it certainly was the case when he had his standalone mini-series, then I don't think it's that bad of a Robin. The thing about it, though, is when you are pairing him, say, with any then Batman that you have on the shelf, I'm just, again, going back to the bar that gets set here with the Nightfall Batman, I do feel like he's maybe just a little bit too tall. Like if I would maybe have shortened him to about, I don't know what, chin level of Batman. I mean, obviously by this point, Tim Drake's an older Robin, but I feel like it maybe translates too big of a Robin than when you have him on display with the rest of the figures. Obviously, he can't be in line with like the smaller gold label edition Robin, because by then, I mean, this Dick Grayson's going to be already long grown up. But I think like Tim Drake looks good. I think he's maybe a little too tall, and I think the colors of bright probably could have been just muted just a tad bit, because like the reds, the greens, and like maybe not as much as the yellows, but maybe the reds and the greens probably could have just been turned and darkened just a little bit, because I find like the colors on him are just a little bit too bright. One positive thing I would say about the Robin Reborn Robin that we get here from the DC Multiverse line is the fact that this is the most classic Robin that we've gotten in an older age. Obviously, if you're on the search for more just a Robin as a sidekick, then there's many to choose from. There's the gold labeled edition that we've done the review of, I brought in for comparisons. There's also the Infinite Frontier, which I think is a fine looking Robin. He doesn't have the classic costume, but he's a great looking Robin to be put on display along with a Batman if you want a smaller Robin. But let's just say you're on the hunt for an older Robin, whether it be Dick Grayson, whether in this case it's be Tim Drake. I think this is really the best of the batch that we've gotten. Granted, yes, the colors are a little bit brighter, and the only reason, again, why I probably had said that too frequently in this review was, again, just to go back to that card that we got, and memory, of course, remembering as far back as I could of what that original suit was. I think in the comics, it's darker than what we get here, but I will say, though, it will pop a lot better having the brighter colors handled on the figure than if they had gone the darker colors. He does come included with, of course, some decent accessories. The staff is a little on the thicker side, while unfortunately the Batarang doesn't seem thick enough. The figure holds it fairly well. The Batarang, I really kind of had the wedge in between his fingers, far enough down into the palm that he wasn't going to drop it like I dropped the staff earlier in the review. But the head sculpt is good. Like, again, it's a classic looking Robin. It's just a little bit older and a much taller Robin as well. What do you guys think of the figure? Let me know down below in the comments section. Have you had the chance to pick up the Robin Reborn Robin? And is this your favorite Robin that we've gotten from the DC Multiverse? If it isn't, what would you say so far up to this point is the best Robin that we've gotten from DC Multiverse? Let me know down below. Also, as well, I'd like to thank the folks over at McFarlane Toys that did provide the sample of the DC Multiverse Robin Reborn, Tim Drake Robin, that we had the chance to have a look in this review. If you guys enjoyed this video, I want to hit with a like. If you guys are loving the content you guys are seeing, and you certainly do want to stick around for more, there is, by the way, more DC Multiverse reviews coming your way if you already didn't know that. But make sure to not miss out on any of that. That, yeah, you're hitting that subscribe button down below, and that, yes, you're also turning on the bell notification. It's a weird sort of two-step process. Why can't we just hit the subscribe button? Certainly, humbled reviewer behind the camera. Can't that just be enough? Unfortunately, it isn't. If to get that reminders from you, because sometimes you do miss out on these videos, that bell notification is actually there for a purpose. I know it sort of seems strange that it's there in the first place, but it's there also to tell YouTube that you as a viewer are interested to everything that comes out from me on a regular basis. And with the frequency and the quantity that I'm always churning out new videos, there's always a good likelihood that you may miss out on something. Speaking of missing out on anything, also as well, if you feel like you may have missed out on one of the many 10,000 plus videos we have here on this channel, no fooling either. Popping up also at the very end of this video will be a playlist of other things I've looked at from DC Multiverse. That goes for the stuff that's in the past. That goes for, of course, the stuff in the present and in the now. And that will also be all the stuff in the future as well. Of course, as always, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.